Hi, Tamra here. Welcome to my channel. I am very excited about today's video for two reasons. Number one, I get to talk about gray hair, a topic I am passionate about. And number two, it is a collab. This is a collab with the beautiful Jenn, who has the channel Jennifer Joyce Beauty. A couple of weeks ago, Jenn did an amazing video where she unveiled her transformation from her long, beautiful red hair to her short, silver blonde hair. And she is starting her gray hair journey. Anyway, I'm sure most of you are familiar with Jenn. I have been subscribed to her for a very long time. And she was one of the very first people to welcome me here to YouTube when I started my channel last January. Jenn has become such a good friend. She is so supportive and encouraging and lovely, and her channel is amazing. I don't know how she does it. She has two channels. She has a husband, she has a full-time job, she has two dogs. She posts multiple videos a week. She does live streams every Sunday, tons of skincare, a complete skincare goddess, lots of just makeup, health, wellness. I love her. And if you are not familiar with Jenn, I absolutely know you will love her too. Anyway, when I saw her transformation from her long red hair to her short silver blonde hair, I immediately texted her and said, we have to do a collaboration, because I thought it was really interesting that she is doing her gray hair journey in a very different way than I did my gray hair journey. So I thought it would be a really great collaboration to show you guys two different approaches and two different perspectives on gray hair journey. Of course, I will have her channel and her video linked below. I cannot wait to see her video. She is such a rock star. Anyway, please make sure you go and check out her channel and her video and subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to say hello from Tamra. Okay. All that being said, let's jump right into today's topic. So I think the title of our video is The Modern Way to Go Gray and How to Survive Your Gray Hair Journey. I'm going to leave the modern part to Jenn. She is a very modern woman, and her new haircut is so cute. And I'm going to focus a little bit more on the gray hair journey, tips and tricks. I am definitely not here to tell anybody they need to go gray. But if it's something you're thinking about and you want some inspiration and you want some tips and tricks, then I think you're in the right place. So, okay, my gray hair journey. I do have two other gray haired videos, and I will link both of those below. So I'm going to try not to make this too repetitive. But, you know, I started going gray in my early 20s, more gray in my 30s, and even more gray in my 40s. And my mother went gray early. My grandmother went gray early. So I knew gray hair was in my future. And, you know, in my 20s, I thought it was sort of interesting. In my 30s, I was totally okay with it. And even into my early 40s, I thought it was sort of cool, sort of interesting. I just, you know, liked those little streaks that I was getting. But as I went into my middle 40s, I started to feel like it started to make me look older. And so I started doing box dye. I've never had my hair professionally dyed, which I know probably was a mistake. But anyway, I did use the box dye. And I really loved the way it looked. I loved the rich, you know, dark brown color I could get. And for quite a few years, I enjoyed dyeing my hair. So I'm 60 now. I started dyeing my hair when I was about 44-ish. And throughout the rest of my 40s, I enjoyed it very much. As I approached 50, it became not so much fun anymore. But I was still very dead. I had long dark hair, well into my 50s. But it wasn't so much fun. As my hair got grayer and grayer, I had to dye it more and more frequently, or at least touch up the roots more and more frequently. And it just wasn't fun anymore. And it started not to look that great either. Again, I did box dye at home, so Probably would have looked better if I had it professionally done. As it became a little bit more and more of a challenge to keep up with my roots, I remember seeing Cindy Joseph. Cindy Joseph was a 50-year-old model at the time, so she was my age, and she had long, silver, beautiful hair. And she started a cosmetic line geared towards older women called Boom. And I think she's the one who coined the term pro-aging. Anyway, I thought she was so cool. I loved her long gray hair, and I thought, you know, it started me to thinking. Then I saw Ally McGraw on Oprah, and I have been an Ally McGraw fan since Love Story. And in the 70s and 80s, she was just such a cool woman. And even in the 80s, was it the 80s or the 90s, she came out with a yoga video. I've always loved Ally McGraw, and she's been on Oprah many times. But about 8 years ago, she came on Oprah with silver hair. And at the time, she was like 65, middle to late 60s. I was so inspired by her. She looked so beautiful with her silver hair, and she talked about pro-aging and gracefully aging. Anyway, about 10 years ago, I was very inspired by both Cindy Joseph and Ally McGraw. And I remember thinking, well, could I do that? What would that look like? Oh my gosh, no, I don't want it. I'm too young for that. I don't want to look old. Maybe when I'm 80 or 70. Okay, so I kept dyeing my hair. Then about 5 years ago, I discovered YouTube, and I discovered a YouTube channel, Monique Parent, and she is a glamorous Hollywood model and actress, and she shared her gray-haired journey on YouTube. And I followed her journey, and I was completely inspired. And then I started discovering more women on YouTube who were, you know, talking about their gray-haired journey. Nicole Johnson. Anyway, so I started thinking about it in earnest. I thought, well, maybe I can do this. I was still really scared. Gray hair makes you look old, right? So, but I started thinking, well, I am going to do this someday. How can I make it easier on myself? So I started trying to think of ways that I could prepare myself for the day that I actually decided to go gray. I didn't know when that day would be, but I was pretty open to one of these days, I'm just going to give it a try. And so a couple of things that I did way before I actually made the decision to ditch the dye. One was instead of using a dark brown hair dye, I went to a more medium brown, thinking, well, if my hair is a little bit less dark, there won't be such a strong line. So I went from a dark brown to a medium brown. And I also went from a number 3 permanent, which is the box dye, number 3 is permanent, to a number 2 semi-permanent, which actually fades a little bit more than the number 3, thinking, well, if I can just have a dye that will fade, it will be a little bit, again, less noticeable when it grows out. The third thing is I was trying to let my roots grow out as long as possible between dye jobs so that I wouldn't have so many layers of dye on my hair. So I did that, you know, the medium brown, number 2, and allowing my roots to grow out as long as I could in between dye jobs for about 3 years before I actually made the decision to stop dyeing my hair. And the way I would, you know, if I let my roots grow out in between dye jobs, I would just use powders and sprays to get me through. So now I'm in my mid-50s, and I knew I was going to ditch the dye sometime. I didn't know when. I was sort of preparing myself. I was exploring YouTube. I was looking for inspiration. And so about 3 years ago, my very good friend Julie, who is my very good friend and my neighbor and my hairstylist, and we are both 60, we're the same age, we started talking about, should we go gray? And we started looking on Pinterest at all these interesting images. Anyway, long story short, we agreed together that we would start our gray hair journey. She's a hairstylist, And so she was able to do some highlights and lowlights on herself. And also her hair is a little bit less dark than mine. So our journeys were a little bit different. Now, when we made the decision, we said, let's do it. I trailed behind. She stuck with it. So she ditched the dye about 9 months before I did. I kept caving in for about 9 months after we decided to allow our hair to go gray. I would just cave in and dye my hair. You know, like I said, I just kept caving in. So the last time I caved in was May of 2018. So May of 2018, I dyed my hair. And I made it through the summer. So got through June, got through July, got through August, and now we're in September. And I had a big family wedding coming up. And I thought, I can't go to a wedding with roots down to there. So I went and bought some hair dye. And I was just about to dye my hair, and I said, no, I don't want to do it. That's it. I don't want to waste these, 3 or 4 months of roots, right? So I put my hair up, and I put my powder or spray on, and that was the last time I dyed my hair. I cut the last of the dye off in December of 2019. I love my gray hair. Yes, it might make me look older. Some days it does, some days it doesn't. But I love my gray hair. I only have 2 regrets. One is that I didn't do it sooner. And 2 is that I didn't document it. I was so preoccupied with trying to cover up my roots and trying to hide the fact that I was going gray that I didn't really take any pictures. And when I go on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube now, there are so many inspirational pictures of women documenting their growing out process and making it look actually cool and interesting and stylish and nothing to be ashamed of. Anyway, so how did I get through a 1.5 years of growing out my gray hair inch by painful inch? Well, a couple of things. Like I said, I had already prepared myself, so I think that line of demarcation wasn't as strong as it would have been otherwise. Root powder was a favorite, and I tried a lot of different root powders. And the best one that I found is Color Wow. And it comes with this little brush so that you can, cover a lot of area. There's a bigger brush. And it also comes with this smaller brush so that you can just almost put little streaks in your hair, which is what I would do. I wouldn't try to, cover all my roots with the Color Wow. What I would do is I would try to put some streaks in so that there wasn't that super hard line of demarcation. Maybe I can show you how you do this. So take a little bit of Color Wow. And I would literally pull my hair back like that. And I would just make I don't know. I guess it's a little hard to show you how to do that. Powders, sprays, very helpful. Hats are your best friend. I wear hats all summer long anyway, so that made that first summer very easy. But I love hats in the wintertime too. And this is one of my favorite hats. Look how cute that is. This is from Target. I don't know if it's wool, but it's a wool-like hat, and that really helps. The other thing is wearing your hair up. So if you have a line of demarcation like that and your hair is down, it's very obvious. But if you put your hair up or back, it's not as obvious. So powders and sprays, hats, wearing your hair back, and also, so you can see I have quite a bit of gray in front. While I was growing my hair out, I would very often part it on the other side because you can see that I have it's less noticeable if I part it on the other side. But I have a colic here, so that's not really the natural place. But it sort of looks nice. but I do prefer now to flaunt my silver and not cover it up. Anyway, okay, so do what you have to do to get through your journey. Find support, find inspiration, work with a stylist, highlights, lowlights, all that can help. And when I say find inspiration, I am going to link in the description box below some Instagram accounts that are very inspirational, some YouTube channels that are also inspirational, as well as a Facebook group, Nicole Johnson's Facebook group called Beauty Reinvented. Again, I'm not here to tell anyone they need to go gray. It is a very, very personal decision. And if you want to dye your hair until you're 100, go for it. If that's what makes you feel good, go for it. But I am really happy that I let my hair go gray. I love it. It's healthy, it's shiny, and I'm looking forward to how it changes over the upcoming years. Anyway, here's my gray hair. There's a lot of variety, right? A lot of variation. No stylist could ever, I don't think any stylist could ever create this. And that's one of the things I love about it, is it's so unique on each and every person. Okay, I hope I covered everything. I hope I covered everything. I cannot wait to see Jenn's video. And the other thing is, you can always change your mind. You know, Lisa, who has the channel Beauty 101, she went gray and then she dyed her hair again. So, you know, nothing is forever. You could always give it a try, see how it feels. You can always dye your hair again. I love talking about gray hair. Like I said, my only two regrets are not doing it earlier and not documenting my journey. Okay, I hope I covered everything. I'm really looking forward to the discussions in the comment box below. Please let us know, you know, is this something you're thinking about? Did you try it? Are you committed to dye? If you did grow your gray hair out, what were your tips and tricks? Gray hair is always an interesting topic of discussion. Okay. Thank you very much for joining me today. I always appreciate the time that you spend with me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. And with all that being said, please take extra good care of yourself so you can stay safe, healthy, and happy. I hope you have a wonderful day and a great week, and I really hope to see you in my video next Sunday. Thank you. Bye. Oh my gosh, how come I can't do this? Oh my gosh. That it's not an easy from dye. Okay, I'm getting off track here. I love the fact that I can flip, whoops. Let me get back on track here. Let me get back on track here. I'm really getting off this video. I don't want this video to be super long.